Okay, good morning. Tick. Okay, good morning. TikTok. Wednesday, January 22nd. This is our 11 a.m. Central Time on TikTok Morning Live, where we talk about spiritual subjects, metaphysics, perception, okay, mindset, all those types of ideas, spiritual growth through, excuse me, through the framework of A Course in Miracles. So we're using Course in Miracles, the workbook, and the text to approach some of these ideas, go through these ideas. Good morning, everyone who's stepping into the live. Hello, Ozzy. Saved by Grace, stepping into the live. Hello, Ozzy. Saved by Grace, and a few other people, D, and Designs by CAD Pro, are all here or passing through. It's funny. A lot of times when I mention someone's name, people check out, they run away. Careful. Lewis is here. Melanie is here. Thanks for stopping by, guys. We are looking at lesson 22 today from Course in Miracles. So we'll go over lesson 22, and then we'll also talk about part of the text. The part of the text is the 22nd section. We do one section per day also, along with the workbook. So section 22, this, right? 22 days already in January. It's flying by, right? And this lesson today and the text today are pretty deep, heavy duty stuff. Check it out. Let's see what we can discover here. So lesson 22 today says, what I see is a form of vengeance. So yesterday we reminded ourselves that we wanted to see things differently. So the first 50 lessons of Course in Miracles, as we've already discussed, we're trying to dissolve, or we're working an alchemical process to change the way we perceive the world, change the way we think about the world. And so first we have to begin to recognize and witness the way we look at things, the way we think about things, become sensitive to that, which is a part of every spiritual practice. Course in Miracles, these lessons go step by step and take you through that. One lesson per day, so 365 lessons. So we said yesterday, I want to see things differently. And now today, what we're admitting to ourselves is that what I see is a form of vengeance. Okay, what I see outside of myself is symbolic of the concept or the idea of vengeance. Okay, so what does that mean according to A Course in Miracles? Let's check it out. It says today's idea accurately describes the way anyone who holds attack thoughts in his mind must see the world. Having projected his anger onto the world, she sees vengeance about to strike back at her. His own attack is thus perceived as self-defense. This becomes an increasingly vicious circle until she is willing to change how she sees. Otherwise, thoughts of attack and counterattack will preoccupy him and people, his entire world. What peace of mind is possible to her then, right? So again, the idea goes from the inside out. It is not what is outside of me, which is causing my feelings. It is my feelings and my thoughts which are being projected onto the world. And then I see the contents of my own consciousness outside of me, right? So, for instance, everybody's heard of the idea, you're going to go buy a new Chevy Blazer or a Toyota Tundra or whatever it is. So you start thinking about that car or that truck. And then as you drive around town or as you go about your business, you begin to notice more and more Toyota trucks or Chevy Blazers, right? Because you're interested in it and your consciousness seeks it outside of ourselves. And this is exactly what A Course in Miracles is telling us. This is exactly what every metaphysical text or spiritual program or spiritual practice is telling us. And if you're in the room right now, tap on the screen, guys, if you would, for me. Let's get some likes up there. There's 0 likes, 0 hearts. If you just tap on the screen, it will help this. It will help this live and help the channel. And then, you can also, of course, follow along on this channel. So we're talking about attack thoughts and projecting attack thoughts onto the world. So Carl Jung talks about this, of course, right? It's doing shadow work. It's some form here. We're talking about some form of doing shadow work. The idea is the parts of myself that I don't like or the parts of myself that I've rejected, I put into the shadows. I don't want to deal with them. And so they're unconsciously and automatically projected onto the world. And then I can direct my own anger outside of myself. Okay? I can blame it on the president. I can blame it on Congress. I can blame it on the tech bros, right? Is what we're seeing current events right now. My life is so-and-so and this because of the tech bros, because of the power of the oligarchs, because of the president, because of Congress, because of the right, because of the left, right? It's what we do. It's what we do. That is the split mind, according to the Course in Miracles, operating. The split mind, the ego mind that thinks it's separate and that divides everything up, this against that, is the ego mind. And instead, we want to unify the mind, realize there's only one mind. Everything outside of myself is a reflection of my own consciousness. And here, we're specifically, the Course in Miracles is talking about attack and defense. So I project, I attack, then I think I'm innocent. I'm going to defend myself from the attacks that are coming from outside of me. Okay, that's a trick of my consciousness. That's a trick of the ego. And it says it is from this savage fantasy, this dream, this illusion that you want to escape. Is it not joyous news to hear that it is not real? Is it not a happy discovery to find that you can escape? You made what you would destroy. Everything that you hate and would attack and kill. All that you fear does not exist. So again, great paragraph there. It's there's a lot of concepts in there that have already been talked about for the first 20 days, for the first 3 weeks. We've been going through this in the month of January. But isn't it good news that you can escape from this impossible situation, as it calls it later in the text? Is it not good news that you can escape from this impossible situation that I have put myself in? Is it not good news to know that there is salvation from the savage fantasy this world that we have created together, this world, this personal world that I have created, and this collective world that we have created together by projecting our consciousness onto the screen of our experience. All that you fear does not exist. And so it sets it up with those two paragraphs, then gives some instructions for how to practice this thought for today, that what I see is a form of vengeance. Look at the world about you at least 5 times today for at least a minute each time, as your eyes move slowly from one object to another, from one body to another. Say to yourself, I see only the perishable. I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. What I see is a form of vengeance. At the end of each practice period, ask yourself, is this the world I really want to see? It says the answer is surely obvious. So the perishable and nothing that lasts, right? That is the condition of this world. Everything comes and it goes. You can see that in the seasons. You can see that with these bodies that perish. You can see it with relationships, jobs, objects, consumer objects. Again, you know, presidential regimes, military regimes, they come and they go. Empires, the Roman Empire was here, it was gone. The Spanish Empire, here, gone. The Dutch Empire, here, gone. Okay. What I see is not real. So by definition, things that perish, things that do not last are not real. They are part of an illusion. They are part of a dream. They are part of a simulation. And so there's a huge concept that we can meditate on, contemplate, think about, like, wow, we can meditate on, contemplate, think about, like, wow, mystery. Wouldn't you agree? That's a real mystery to me, like the power of the mind, the power of consciousness, which Course in Miracles does point out. If you truly knew the power of your own mind, it says, you would be amazed. Okay. And of course, we see all the time, there's always discussions about manifesting this, manifesting that, manifesting a job, manifesting a relationship. And you don't, hear people talk too often about manifesting a world, manifesting a planet, manifesting a universe. But that is exactly what has happened. That is exactly where we find ourselves as part of a gigantic universe, right? The mind of God, an extensive universe, an unbelievable universe. And even if you think of the solar system or a galaxy, or it's a projection of a mind and an intelligence and a love that is beyond comprehension, that is unnameable, that is inconceivable, right? All those terms from the ancient mysteries and from the perennial philosophy, all those terms you hear, you really stop and think about it. It's quite amazing. So then let's go to the text. We're in chapter 3, section 6. One section of the text per day goes along with the lesson. Hi, everybody who's joining or passing through. Elizabeth, Motown Kitty, Velcro, Blue Jello 11, and Papa Gil are all here. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. So, we are talking section 6, chapter 3, judgment and the authority problem. And I would recommend, even and the authority problem. And I would recommend, even if you're not, you can go to acourseofmiracles.org online, and you could check this out. Just read this section of the book online, and you could check this out. Just read this section of the book today. It is a real, it's a very important part of the book. As we have already discussed the last judgment, but in insufficient detail. After the last judgment, there will be no more. Judgment is symbolic because beyond perception, there is no judgment. When the Bible says, judge not, that you be not judged, it means that if you judge the reality of others, you will be unable to avoid judging your own. Okay? And very simply, of course, that is because of the nature of consciousness. There is no separation. So if I am judgmental and I am critical and I am angry, right? I'm doing all of that, or I'm experiencing all of that myself, even though I think I'm directing it somewhere. There is no somewhere, there is no out there, right? It's all happening right here. It's all happening in my own consciousness. And so I cannot avoid judging myself or criticizing myself. The choice to judge rather than to know is the cause of the loss of peace. Judgment is the process on which perception, but not knowledge, rests. Perception and knowledge. We talked about that yesterday. Making and creating. These are all distinctions that are made in A Course in Miracles, terms that are used, and you have to get into it, you have to read it, you have to talk about it with other people to begin to integrate these concepts that it's talking about. So that's what we're doing here, just spending some time going through it, talking about it, and seeing what comes through, right? Not planned, not written out, all spontaneous, all inspired, all channeled, if you will. So the choice to judge rather than to know is the cause of the loss of peace. Judgment always involves rejection. I'm going to go through this section quickly. I'm going to pick some pieces out of this. This is a fairly long section of the book. I think it's 8 or 9 paragraphs long. But there's some really important ideas here being discussed. Judgment always involves rejection. It never emphasizes only the positive aspects of what is judged, whether in you or in others. What has been perceived and rejected, or judged and found wanting, remains in your mind because it has been perceived. One of the illusions from which you suffer is the belief that what you judged against has no effect. This cannot be true unless you also believe that what you judged against does not exist. You evidently do not believe this, or you would not have judged against it. In the end, it does not matter whether your judgment is right or wrong. Right? I got to win the argument. It doesn't matter. It's saying here that the very activity of judgment, because why does it say doesn't matter if your judgment's right or wrong? It's the act of judging. It's the act of believing that what I see outside of myself is actually reality, right? Earlier, we practiced the thought, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. God did. We practice the thought, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. God did not create a meaningless world, but the reason I'm judging it is because I'm not accepting of the fact that it's meaningless. It's a dream. When you wake up from a dream in the morning, you know, how deeply does it affect your day? Obviously, you wake up and you go, oh, I was dreaming. None of that was true. None of that really has an effect on me. I was dreaming. And it asks, late. Hi, Beth the Sybil. Beth the Sybil's here. Good to see you. Maybe I'll get some likes now from Beth the Sybil. She'll hit the screen and get some hearts up there. Appreciate it. Thank you. But what were we saying? So we're talking about judgment. And it says, in the end, it does not matter whether your judgment is right or wrong. Either way, you are placing your belief in the unreal. This cannot be avoided in any type of judgment because it implies the belief that reality is yours to select from. You have no idea of the tremendous release and deep peace that comes from meeting yourself and your brothers totally without judgment. When you recognize what you are and what your brothers are, you will realize that judging them in any way is without meaning. In fact, their meaning is lost to you precisely because you are judging them. All uncertainty comes from the belief that you are under the coercion of judgment. You do not need, listen to this sentence, you do not need judgment to organize your life, and certainly do not need it to organize yourself. Wow. In the presence of knowledge, all judgment is automatically suspended, and this is the process that enables recognition to replace perception. So that's a tough one, right? I don't need judgment to organize my life. I don't need judgment to organize myself, my thoughts, my being. Why? Because I didn't create myself. And it is an illusion to think that I'm in charge of organizing my thoughts and my thinking, okay, and knowledge. No, all of that has been given to me. I need to accept it and understand it, okay? And then that knowledge is, of course, complete, whole, perfect, whole, and complete. Now, this is an ongoing process. It even admits that in a course, in the text, in the course, it admits the fact that this is something that you can only begin to approach while you're here in this situation, on this planet, within this illusion, here in this situation, on this planet, within this illusion, because that's the game. That's the game we're playing, hiding from our true self, and turning back to our true self. Couple other ideas here. When you feel tired, it is because you have judged yourself as capable of being tired. When you laugh at someone, it is because you have judged him as unworthy. When you laugh at yourself, you must laugh at others. If someone, it is because you have judged him as unworthy. When you laugh at yourself, you must laugh at others, if only because you cannot tolerate the idea of being more unworthy than they are. All this makes you tired because essentially you are not really capable of being tired, but you are very capable of wearying yourself. That is lines. In this text, there's a few lines that really stand out and that is one of them for me. You are not really capable of being tired, but you are very capable of wearying yourself. The strain of constant judgment is virtually intolerable. It is curious that an ability so debilitating would be so deeply cherished. Yet, if you wish to be the author of reality, you will insist on holding on to judgment. God offers only mercy. Your words should reflect only mercy because that is what you have received and that is what you should give. Okay, I've spoken, and now it's going to talk about the authority problem. What is the authority problem? The authority problem is, I think, subconsciously, unconsciously, that I am in conflict with God. I am in conflict with God's idea of the world because I have created a world separate from God and separate from God's thoughts and God's thinking. And so subconsciously, I won't really admit it to myself, but subconsciously, I think I'm in conflict with God. This idea has already been introduced in the text. So just bringing that up because that is a part of the text that has already been covered. So it says, I've spoken of different symptoms, and at that level, there is almost endless variation. So we're trying to pull back from symptoms and identifying symptoms, and we're trying to get back to the cause. What's the real cause of my lack of peace? What is the real cause of my distress? It says there is, however, only one cause for all of them, the authority problem. This is, it says, quote unquote, the root of all evil. Every symptom the ego makes involves a contradiction in terms because the mind is split between the ego and the Holy Spirit, so that whatever the ego makes is incomplete and contradictory. There you go. The ego, the separate self, the personal identity who doesn't acknowledge that all is one, is of course fragmented and separate, and so then is its thought and its ideas and its experience. This untenable position is the result of the authority problem, which, because it accepts the one inconceivable thought as its premise, can produce only ideas that are inconceivable. The issue of authority is really a question of authorship. When you have an authority problem, it is because you believe you are the author of yourself and project your delusion onto others. You then perceive the situation as one in which others are literally fighting you for your authorship. Okay, what is this relationship about? What is this political situation about? What is this? What's going on at work? What's going on in the house? And it says, if I'm ego based, I'm going to be fighting with everyone outside of me over who gets to define the situation, who gets to give meaning to the relationship. And so, Course in Miracles is suggesting give that up, relinquish that, and cultivate the idea, vibrate with the idea, come into alignment with the idea that God is the author of reality. Okay? This is the fundamental error of all those who believe they have usurped the power of God. This belief is very frightening to them, but hardly troubles God. He is, however, eager to undo it, not to punish his children, but only because he knows that makes them unhappy. God's creations are given their true authorship, but you prefer to be anonymous when you choose to separate yourself from your author. Being uncertain of your true authorship, you believe that your creation was anonymous. This leaves you in a position where it sounds meaningful to believe that you created yourself. The dispute over authorship has left such uncertainty in your mind that it may even doubt whether you really exist at all. And it goes on, but that is the crux of this section of the text, and it is the authority problem. Who is really the author of reality? Okay, is you know, am I the author of reality? Are you the author of reality? Is the president the author of reality? Whoever that president is, whoever that president becomes, are they the author of reality? Or is there one author of reality, which is love, intelligence, peace, kindness, harmony? These things that do not pass away. So I will leave it at that for today. But again, judgment and the authority problem is one of the really, really, really juicy and meaty, filled with depth parts of this text. There's some important ideas there. I would encourage you to go read that section, chapter 3, section 6 of Course in Miracles from the text, and really see what you think about that. And this live will be posted on YouTube. My channel over there on YouTube is SVC2011 at Sierra Victor Charlie 2011 over on YouTube. If you miss the live any mornings, if you want to check out some of the other lives, you can go over to YouTube and sort of survey, go through it, check it out, see what we're talking about. Remember to follow if you want to get a little bit deeper into your spiritual practice, into your metaphysics. It's always fun to see new people here. And eventually we'll open up this discussion. We'll start talking with other people and, find out who has countered this book, who's been using these teachings, and we'll just keep going into it more and more and more and more. But that's all for today. Peace and blessings. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming through. And have a great day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.